Welcome to ResponseABLE Parenting, the podcast that shows you how to parent in alignment to your emotions, needs, and goals versus your programming, bad advice, and let's face it, outdated strategies that just don't work. You'll get in the trenches support on nervous system and emotional regulation, critical mindset shifts, stronger communication strategies, and more. In this podcast, you'll gain transformational tools that take you from reacting to every frustration to responding with clarity, regulation, and finally setting the example you desire for your kids. I'm Becky Jennings, your new parenting coach, and this is the ResponseABLE Parenting Podcast. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to talk a little bit about something spicy, something that really made me angry. And it was something a total stranger, this woman, came up to me and said this stuff to me after witnessing an interaction with me and my kids. So we were out at a grocery store and I was just having a really off day. They were picking up everything from the grocery store. Like they were grabbing stuff and I had to take the stuff out of the cart and put it back on the shelves. And then they were having a meltdown. And as we've all been there, it's just pure chaos. And you can feel the people's vision cast on you and judgment. And you're trying so hard to say the right things and you're trying to make it a game. You're trying to make it playful. You're trying to really not resort to threats. You're trying not to bribe your kids. You're trying. And eventually, like 30 minutes into this, where you're just trying to finish the list so that you can go home, so that you can start your other 500 to-do list thing. This woman came up to me in the grocery store and she was just like, I have to tell you that I've been watching you and you're doing this all wrong. And I was just kind of like, what? Like, is she going to teach me something here? Is she going to give me a hack? Is she going to like, is there a win to this? And she was like, I'm so disgusted by how you've chosen to speak to your kids. I'm so disgusted by how you have taken things out of their hands and put them back on the shelves, and you haven't done it in a loving way, and how you are just so focused on your list and you don't see that these tiny little moments can shape the way that they view themselves. And how dare you do this to your children, and how dare you bring shame upon them. And she just kept going, and I was mortified. I was sitting there and I was feeling small and awful, and I just kept shrinking into myself, and I felt sick to my stomach, and I started to pull storylines from my own past that were confirming stuff that this woman was saying. And I started saying, yeah, you know what? I've been a failure in the past. Clearly, I'm failing now. And this is just evidence to prove these storylines that I've been fighting against for so long. And my God, she's right. I am failing. I am a total disaster. I am one of the worst moms out there. And what would you have done in that moment? I want you to pause and think for a second and think about how you would have felt if somebody came up and said this to you in a grocery store or at a park, or in your own, like stopped you, knocked on your car window and said, I saw you just do this at drop off. These are my thoughts. How would you feel? Now, I want to tell you that the last 2 minutes of me sharing that were completely fictitious. That never happened. None of that ever happened. But what had happened is the person in my head, the mom in my head, the perfectionist in my head, the vision that I have of what it looks like to be a perfect parenting, that person was saying all those things to me in my head when I was having that moment. And it's crazy because we do this all the time to ourselves. We do this so frequently, we don't even bat an eye to say, yeah, I would have said the same thing to myself. But if somebody else would have come over and said that to you, you would hope that you would have an army of moms behind you saying, how dare you say that to her? She's doing her best. Look at all the things that she has going against her. Look at all the things she has to do. You don't know what's going on in her world. You don't know what has happened to her today. And yet we say this to ourselves all the time. We beat ourselves down. We tear ourselves apart. We use every little mistake as evidence, as to prove the storyline true of how bad we are as parents. And then we let the guilt soak in. And when we're parenting from this place of guilt, I can assure you, our parenting is not on. And we continue to parent from this place of low self-worth. We continue to parent from this place of deep shame. It is only until we start to really analyze the stories of our past and see if they have any relevance to what is happening in this moment. As you heard in the story that I was just telling you, which was a story, in that moment, I'm pulling evidence from the past. I'm pulling past failures. I'm pulling past shameful moments, embarrassing moments into the present moment to amplify the intensity of the current moment, making me feel like, yes, this is something to really and truly focus on because, wow, this is just more proof of how bad I am. So how do we stop this vicious cycle? How do we stop speaking to ourselves in a way that is so detrimental and is not empowering us as parents in any way? It's not helping us learn skills. It's not helping us parent better. It's not helping. And yet we show up every single day from this baseline of low self-worth parenting. And I can speak to this from such personal experience because I lived for so many years. I can say that it wasn't until my mid to late 30s that I started to say, is it worth living my whole life feeling this bad about myself on a regular basis, pinpointing every flaw, pulling out these really past, long ago stories and saying, see, doing it again. This is it. This is my pattern. At what point in our adult lives, at what point in our parenting lives are we willing to let go of the stories that have kept us chained in a pattern that is awful, that feels awful, that keeps us stuck in a cycle of reactivity? Because when we're wounded, we will react from a wounded place versus an empowered place. So what does that look like for you in your life? What stories are you ready to finally let go of? What stories are you so ready to turn the page and rewrite a new chapter? Start fresh. I tell my son on a regular basis that he has so many different pages of a story that we don't need to keep reading the same page, that he can show us different sides, that we can experience different parts of him. And there's not one true thing about you. You are not always the same mistake that you're repeating. That mistake needs to be worked on, but you are not your mistakes. And I think we do a good job of forgiving others for their mistakes, but we do not do a good job of forgiving ourselves for our mistakes at all. We kind of carry them as badges and scarlet letters that define us versus acknowledging that they happened and learning and growing from them. It's 2025 and there is more parenting advice than ever before. Yet we're still confused, stuck, and as a result fall back into yelling, threatening, and punishing in moments that don't require such harsh reactions. Parenting has evolved, and it's time your parenting strategies do too. Welcome to REWIRE with ResponseABLE Parenting. This is where you get the support you're looking for so you can make fast, positive, and long-term change in your household. Inside this complete parenting system, you'll get a done-for-you roadmap that teaches you how to understand why you get so triggered, how to support both yourself and your child in the heat of the moment so you can react less and respond in a way that connects you versus creates more ruptures. You will quickly create a new nervous system baseline, allowing you to access more regulated and effective communication so that you can set and hold boundaries without meltdowns, reduce power struggle nightmares, and truly dial down the temperature that spikes every day. And if you're like me, you crave instant results and personalized feedback. Now you can join REWIRE Level Up and have 6 months of weekly coaching calls. In these calls, we work together on your specific challenges and we hyperspeed your rewiring process. This means you see faster changes in your home, which means relief sooner. This is your complete program to rewire your parenting brain so that your whole family can finally exhale. Join REWIRE today and start feeling relief as early as tonight. What I love to do most is connect the dots from your past stories and help you untangle that web in your brain, help you rewire parts of your brain that are so connected to these really sad storylines of shame and of guilt and mistakes that you have been carrying with you that have defined your personhood. I help you untangle those because when those are untangled, we are allowed to parent the way that we really and truly want. We're able to be resourced and feel safe and feel empowered and emboldened and true. And we're able to practice and trust that there will be mistakes. And yet those mistakes don't define us because we now know how to forgive ourselves and let go and how to forge forward. And that is the truest part of the human journey, is to understand and recognize that we are not our past. We are not our mistakes. We will always make mistakes. This is not, perfection is not possible. Perfection is not an option. Perfection is this fantastical idea that somebody created, probably because they were deeply shamed and embarrassed and they were trying awfully too hard, right? We cannot be perfect. Parenting is not, it is like that show Wipeout, right? That is parenting. There's no perfect way to get through that course. We're going to come out beaten up, covered in slime, and exhausted at the end. And there's absolutely no way to get through that without a bunch of hits and a bunch of slips and a bunch of mistakes. I don't know where that came from, but you get my point. So there is a necessary process of untangling, forgiving, and rewiring. And I'm sharing that because I would be so honored to be a part of that process with you. If you are called to start learning how to do this, I do have a free training that is in my show notes. You can check it out. It's how to rewire your reactions. It's an essential 4-step process to break any habit, but this I really focus on the habit that matters most, which is how we show up and how we parent these beautiful children that we've been given the gift of parenting. And a lot of that comes down to how resourced we are and how safe we feel inside in certain moments. So much of it is connected to our past. And so a large part of that is untangling. So much of that is shedding this old self and stepping into a new empowered self. But we can't do that without knowing the process. So I share that process in this free training. And if you are called to take it to the next level, join REWIRE, connect with me. And there is an opportunity for us to do this one-on-one as well. But I just wanted to share that with you because I found myself in that moment thinking, oh my gosh, I used to live from this place all the time. And I was able to catch myself in that moment, saying those things to myself. And I was able to stop that pattern and move to an empowered place because I have practiced this, because I have worked through this and committed to the process. It's not an easy road to untangle these storylines and to figure out what root this came from. But once we understand the root, we can move, right? We can stop it right there. And we can then grow new roots and we can figure out a new place in which we want to parent from. So I encourage you to watch that training and I really hope to connect with you. I hope this resonated in a way that allows you to see the way in which we speak to ourselves matters so much in how we show up in the present moment for ourselves and for our kids. So I hope that sits for just a few minutes in your heart. You start to ask yourself the questions, what am I saying to myself? Is it empowering? Is it not? And am I ready to start this process of untangling these past storylines that are keeping me stuck? And if that answer is yes, go check out that training. And if that answer is yes, follow all the way through to the end and make your decision at the end if we're going to be on this journey together and allowing me to help you in that untangling and that rewiring process. I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you for listening to the ResponseABLE Parenting Podcast. If you like what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this podcast, I'd be honored if you'd share this episode with them. Until next time, know that you are enough, you are capable, you've made it through all of your hardest days, and we will keep growing on this parenting journey together. This podcast was produced by Kim Kelty and myself, Becky Jennings, and edited by the Kelty Method, Branding and Podcasting.